In this video, I will be analyzing the biomechanics of a grand jete. A grand jete is a leap in ballet that creates an illusion of floating. Through the concepts of projectile motion and center of mass, I will examine exactly how this illusion is created. Let's begin by looking at the phases of a grand jete. The first phase is the preparation phase, where there is a slight run to gain maximal horizontal velocity and demonstrates a counter movement before jumping. Next is the takeoff phase. This is the phase in which the heel of the first limb and the second limb's toes just lose contact with the ground. Then, the flight phase. This is where the dancer is in the air and both feet are off of the ground. And last is the landing phase, in which both feet reach the ground. Within these phases, center of mass plays a crucial role in the floating illusion. The center of mass is the point at which the entire weight of the body may be considered as concentrated, so that if supported at this point, the body would remain in equilibrium in any position. During the preparation phase and takeoff phase, there is a forward shift in the dancer's center of mass, creating forward and horizontal acceleration. During the flight phase, the center of mass will follow projectile motion. This is due to gravity acting through the center of mass and causing downward acceleration. In the beginning of flight, the lower extremities are low and the center of mass is located in the abdomen. The center of mass ascends upward as the lower extremities lift and reaches peak trajectory. After peak trajectory, the center of mass then begins to descend along with the extremities until landing phase. Projectile motion also plays an important role in the floating illusion. We have just touched on projectile motion when looking at the center of mass during the flight phase, but there is much more to it. Let's begin by defining projectile motion. It is the motion of an air-bound object in which the only external forces acting on the object are gravity and air resistance. From the moment of takeoff to landing, the dancer's gravity follows a parabolic trajectory. In a normal projectile motion, the peak height is apparent. However, in the dancer's motion, the head seems to float horizontally at the highest point. When the dancer is in the air, the horizontal component of velocity will remain constant. However, the vertical component will change due to the gravity and the center of mass. The vertical component begins by accelerating upward until it reaches peak height. At peak height, the vertical velocity reaches zero, and then decreases as the dancer descends towards the ground. Horizontal velocity remains constant throughout the projectile motion. So what changes how the trajectory looks in a dancer during a grand jete compared to what a regular object might look during projectile motion? At peak height exactly, the legs are raised to a split and the arms are raised overhead. The head and abdomen will continue to move horizontally, even though that we know center of mass is descending during this time. Onlookers observe the head and torso in a grand jete rather than the center of mass. Therefore, synchronizing the timing of the largest split, the highest arm elevation angle, and the peak of gravity and center of mass creates an illusion of horizontal motion in flight and the illusion of floating.